What's up, guys? We just got back from watching Cuckoo. I wasn't meaning to go watch Cuckoo a lot earlier, but unfortunate circumstances took place. But now I'm over here in Maine instead of New Mexico with my girlfriend, and she's very kind because she decided to go watch the movie Cuckoo with me, even though she's not a fan of the cinemas because she says the movie theaters stink like artificial butter.
I decided, or you made me go.
I forced her to go to the movie with me because we had to watch this, and now we have to watch Alien Romulus, which comes out tomorrow. Going into this, I was expecting this to be better than Longlegs because I seen the trailers and I was like, Longlegs looks interesting, and it's from that Osgood Perkins dude. But Cuckoo is from somebody I'd never seen before, and it has a really good trailer where it has the scene with the girl riding the bike, and then you see the shadow, the way they shoot it. She's like riding her bike and she sees her shadow, and then the hand's over there, and then she looks behind, and the evil lady's like, "Wow!" And I was like, ooh, that's really good. I want to go watch that. But instead of watching it by myself, I went and watched this with my lady friend, Ashley. What did you think going into it? Were you expecting it to be bad?
I mean, I saw the trailer on YouTube a bunch of times, but I was skipped because I didn't feel like watching the whole thing.
Well, there you go. So she had basically no expectations going into this. I was expecting it to be good. So the movie starts off, and we see the lady. The lady, she's all sad and stuff because she has to move away from her friends, her
No.
home.
The first part starts with the girl that runs away, remember?
Okay, yeah. The movie starts with some domestic violence going on, and the girl has a weird twitch in her ear, and then she runs away. And immediately, we have more information than the main characters have, which makes it interesting because there's something.
They call and say something about nestling or something.
No, I was gonna say yes, but I was gonna say something. It's in screenwriting where there's two different types of way to engage your audience in terms of information, and sometimes it's more entertain. Well, it depends on the context of the story, but sometimes you're ahead of the characters in the sense that you know things that they don't know, so it's interesting watching them catch up to get to the knowledge that you have, and vice versa. There's stuff that the movie knows that you don't know, and that makes it interesting for you to catch up as the audience. So immediately we know before the main characters that there is something afoot. There is something wonky going on about, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So then we're after that crazy sequence, we're introduced to the main character lady and her family, and she clearly does not have a strong, uh, good feeling towards her family. She's very, very
Antagonistic.
towards her family for whatever
Doesn't want to be
reason.
involved.
And
Doesn't look at all like she's related to them. She's in a different vehicle. She's with the movers.
Yeah, that is a good point. She is.
Yeah, they had space in the backseat, but she was just with the movers because.
Yeah, huh. Yeah, so yeah, it's already set. It's already laying the groundwork. Like, okay, this is.
How do you even watch movies without me? You don't even know what you're seeing. Carry on.
Yeah, so they're going to this place in the Netherlands where it's some sort of resort.
Was it the Netherlands? They were in the German Alps, weren't they? That's why they're speaking
They're in the
German.
German Alps in the Netherlands, and they're going there because the family wants to. The dad, he wants to build some sort of resort, and the German dude played by Dan Stevens. That's also another reason I really wanted to watch this movie because it has Dan Stevens and he's amazing in everything he's in, even if
Have
it's.
you seen Eurovision?
No, I haven't seen
Well,
it.
you need to see that because he's amazing in that too.
But he's also amazing in The Guest. That was the first thing I seen him in. Anyway, so Dan Stevens, yes, we're introduced to his character, and he's like the lodge person, and he's like, ha ha ha, he hoo ha, welcome. It's very nice of you to be here. And he plays this so well because you can tell, like, he's very kind and stuff, but you can tell just beneath the surface there's something sinister going on. And it's really well done. And then, yeah, just like.
Oh, and also he's extra creepy because he's talking to the main character, who's a girl, and she's like almost an adult. She's a teenager, and he puts his hand on her shoulder as he's talking, and you can see she's uncomfortable, and he just moves it across. He doesn't lift it; he just moves it to her other shoulder, and it just shows that either he's intentionally being in her space or he doesn't get it. But either way, it just adds.
Or he just likes asserting his dominance.
That's kind of why people do that stuff.
Yes.
Because they want to be in control of you.
And then he intentionally does not pronounce her name in a way that she likes to. Instead of, because her name's Gretchen, he says like, what's he say, Gretchen or some shit?
I don't know.
He says it like super over exaggerated. So immediately it's like, okay, this person's kind of I don't know about this dude. And then yeah, the whole point of them being there is the dad is trying to start like a resort, kind of like they got there. And they mentioned earlier that it's like a conservation, but they don't specify for what. So immediately you're like, huh. And then you mentioned earlier too about the cuckoo bird. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know anything about that. And she's like, it's the bird that basically puts the
It
other
lays its
birds.
eggs in another bird's nest, and then when those hatch, they tend to kick out the actual babies of those birds, and they're getting all the food and stuff. It's
Right.
great.
So I was like, how is that going to be a thing in here? Anyways, yeah, so, and then you see more of the main lady being all sad. You find out that her mother is dead, and then, yeah, you see more of why she's kind of standoffish against her family. They made her move away from her friends and her home, and she doesn't even have a good relationship with them to begin with, and they favor the actual daughter of the mother because it's her dad that's with the new lady, and the new lady has her own daughter, but they all favor the new daughter
Well,
more than her.
the daughter is the father's kid, so they've been together, and that's their kid, so they're like a separate unit.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
I think her parents, her mom and her dad, have been separated for a long time. Because she
yeah.
clearly does not like him at all. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like they had a lost relationship; they just didn't have one.
And she doesn't like her stepsister for that reason because it's not like anything personal, like she did anything. It's just like the mere fact that they just treat her better and they like favor her more. So that was interesting. And then yeah, she starts working at the lodge or whatever, and then more creepy stuff starts happening. There's like half naked ladies coming in and throwing up and stuff. You're like, what's all this about? And then they introduce a love interest that you kind of is like, huh, interesting, because she like puts her hand on her hand, and you're like, well, obviously they're a little bit lesbian, but I don't know where this is supposed to go. Is this supposed to be like a main plot point? No, this lesbian character literally serves as a plot point. Not really even a character. Well, I mean, she's both a love interest and also she serves as a plot point to show that she can't escape the clutches of this resort because when she tries, she ends up getting in a car crash because the bird lady that we find out later in the movie is like, and then they
It
crash
sounds
or
like a
whatever.
turkey.
Well, that's what she sounded like. She was like, but yes, that's so we're introduced to that character, kind of like meaningless, but I like how she's not just like to show that she can't leave. She's also a love interest, so I like how they
And
put those
what's
together.
also great is that even though there was no surprise, because they really set it up for no surprises that she's into women, it didn't have anything gratuitous, which was a nice change, especially for her.
Yeah, they didn't have a close up shot of her grabbing the titty, like, ooh, let me milk that
Yeah, I
thing.
didn't really need to see topless ladies on my screen again.
That's a plus for this movie too, is because there's no gratuitous gore or nudity. The only like, yeah, there's literally no
And there
nudity.
isn't even any language really.
There's
It doesn't
yeah,
use any of that. Like it's actually the story that's interesting.
it's really just the concept itself that's like actually R rated because whatever happens, we end up finding out. Oh no, we're introduced to the detective dude as well at the same time as we're introduced as the love interest, and so we find out that the detective dude. How does it happen?
He's checking in, but he's trying to talk to her. Remember?
He wants to talk to her, and
And she's
then
like, "I don't want to talk to you," because that was that after the accident?
this was after the accident.
Yeah,
Cause
because she had the thing
he
on her
tells
head.
he tells her to like meet him in the room to talk about the AC because the AC isn't working, and then the lesbian lady's like, "Let's get out of here," and then she's like, "Well, this place sucks." So then she tries to escape, and then wait, no, this is before
Yeah,
because
because she bonked her head on the glass.
this is her second incident with the bird lady. So the first incident, Dan Stevens is like, "No, you must not stay there after dark for whatever reason." And then she's like, "Well, I don't care. Like, I'll just let the other lady that works here, Beatrice, I'll just let her go because she's got like a date or something. So it's okay if I stay here." And then Dan Stevens calls and he's like, "You cannot stay there. Something bad." And then she's like, "I don't care." So then she like leaves. She doesn't even lock any of the doors. She leaves everything open. And then
Wasn't
writes.
there somebody that yeah there was one of the puke ladies, and so she goes to check on her, and then she just follows. She goes out the door, and there's all the birds, and she's like, "Screw this, I'm out of here."
Doesn't even lock up the place. Just leaves it completely open. Anyone could go in there and rob everything. She's like,
Not that
well,
there's anything to rob in there except stupid music.
mm-hmm. And then she's like, all right, time to go home. So she's riding her bike, and then this is when we get the scene from the trailer that's super badass. Where first you see like this lady in this like white hoodie just running. You're like, damn, that's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden she disappears. You're like, okay, that's cool. And then she's got her headphones on. She don't pay any attention. She's riding her bike. She looks down, sees her shadow, and then they do this in the rule of three. So it's first you just see her in her shadow, and then the second time the shadow goes by, it's the second time, right? It's the second time, and you see the hand, and then the third time, you see the actual lady like creeping over her, and then she's like, huh, and then she looks behind, and it's the burly with the red eyes. She's like, ah, and I'm like, whoa, that's scary.
But she's listening to music, so she doesn't hear the thing.
So that's the first encounter with the bird lady. The second bird lady encounter is when she gets with the lesbian girl. She's like, "Let's get out of here," and then they start driving. Oh, and then she has the hallucination thing. The bird lady has this hallucination thing where she goes like, and then it like makes you like live in a time loop. But in reality, like it seems like you're like living like going back in like 10 seconds into the past, and you're like reliving that same 10 seconds. But in reality, you're just standing there. You're just standing there like this, just like this. And the bird lady's like, and then she comes up to you and she goes bonk, and she bonks your shit.
She doesn't actually do it, it's with sound, I think.
She bonks your shit, bonk, and then only if you're a female though. If you're a male, she don't give a fuck. She'll just like put you to sleep, comatose. But the female, she like bonk, and then she's like, all right, get over here, and then she sets you down, and then she goes into her cooch, and she's like,
No, she did the thing first where after they bonk, they're sitting there disoriented, and they start scratching at their legs and they pass out.
They scratch out their legs for whatever fucking reason, and then she goes into her cooch, and she's like, you want some of my precious goo?
Honestly, she doesn't go in. She just kind of like dribbles out onto her hand. I don't even know because both, even when the other one that had pants on, it still seemed to work just fine.
She goes into her cooch and lets it drip, and then she's like, and then it's implied.
Your understanding of anatomy is brought into question by this.
And then it's implied that she impregnates them with that. She goes, she does whatever, but they never show it. They just imply it.
Yeah.
Yes. So. Yeah. So the bird lady makes her hallucinate. I'm going all over the place.
You are. I was just thinking you should take like a notebook with you and at least have the order of things you want to talk about, so you stay in order, so you know where you are and where you're going.
Well, it helps if we did this right after we seen the movie, but we went to the beach, so everything is scouted in my brain. So she gets in a car crash, and then the detective dude comes over and saves her, but you don't know who it is at first until he comes and visits her in the hospital, and then he's like, I saved you. And then we get a great scene. We don't see it. It's just the dialogue, because she's like calling her mom on the voicemail, because it's like the only reminder she has of her mom. So she likes to hear her mom's voice on the voicemail. She pretends that she's actually talking to her. So we have a great scene where they don't show it. They just like, do like it's called a J cut, where they have the dialogue from, or the sound from the next scene, but the visual is something completely separate from the scene. So we just hear her like, losing her shit on the fucking phone, and it's really well done.
Yeah, well acted.
Yeah, the whole movie is stupendous with the acting and the cinematography and the way it's shot and the way it's edited, and the acting is, it's so good. So, and then she goes to her family's house after she gets out of the accident because she's disowned. They're like, well, you stole from the German guy that's all weird and creepy, and you kind of suck as a daughter, so you're kind of like on your own, basically. You can still live with us, but you don't even get no allowance. So then she goes to her house, and Dan Stevens is there with the fucking stupid flute, and he's like, look at this present I got you. Right?
I don't even know. I just realized you were talking, and I don't remember what order things happened in.
Yeah, so he's got a stupid flute, and he's like, and then he's like, the Gretchen chick is like freaking the fuck out. She's like, why are you guys acting like everything is so normal when this dude's clearly a weirdo? And he's like, calm down. But he's not even playing the flute like to like charm a snake or nothing. I guess it's to summon the bird lady. But for whatever, I don't know why.
I think Ben was just playing it because of her sister.
Because it was cool. Because he looked cool playing the flute with this stupid ass guru fucking fit. With this white swaying in the wind fit. Yeah, so what next? Then Dan Stevens takes her to his compound. And up until this point, this movie is not this convoluted. I'm all over the place. But up until this point, it's very like well done.
Actually, her family doesn't ever send her off. They're gone at the hospital with her sister. And then she comes down and she's gonna run away again. And Dan Stevens is like, Dad, we can get rid of you now. Like the trash.
Oh yeah, he's like, leave a note that says, you guys suck. And then she leaves a note and it says, you guys suck. Well, it doesn't literally say that, but you get the gist. So then he takes her to his underground laboratory where he starts giving a bunch of exposition. And up until this point, it does really well. Like in comparison to Long Legs, where Long Legs just drags you along and it gives you like tidbits of information, but it's not a satisfying amount to where you're still invested in the mystery. With this, it gives you enough for you to like be like, huh, but also like, huh. And it's really well done up until this point, because then this point when we get to Dan Stevens and then you find out he takes the lady Gretchen to his facility, and then you find out he's caught the detective dude. And then at this point, the motivations get weird because you find out Dan Stevens is a conservationist and he's trying to protect this bird lady.
Well, we already knew he was a conservationist. He just never says of what, and then we finally find out it's the bird lady. Although we never know how he found out about them or how other people haven't found out about them. So or why he was able to find out without getting affected and still find her again.
Yeah, and then there's so much stuff about the bird lady lore that just like left us bewildered. Like, how did he find out about these bird ladies, and why did he decide to preserve their
And
existence?
also, how do they even exist if they need this much help getting by?
And why do they not exist in other parts of the world? Like,
And if they do, how has nobody noticed?
yeah, so there was just a lot of questions when it came to that. And then also the motivation of the dude. You find out the motivation behind the detective dude is that the bird lady tried to impregnate his wife, but it's a common thing for the bird lady to impregnate people and then have them choke and die on their vomit.
Yeah, because after they pass out when she does the head thing, they're laying like this, and a lot of them throw up after, which is normal actually if you get a head injury to throw up. But they're laying on their back, so they choke and die.
Yeah, so Bird
Great
Lady
evolution.
is shit at evolution, so she needs to die off anyways. You would think she would at least learn how to like turn them on their side or something,
She
but
doesn't
no.
seem very smart either.
No, she's a bit of a fucking dumbass.
Just a little bit.
But she's cool. She's cool up until she takes off her shades. Because with the shades, like you can see like her red eyes through the shades, and it's super cool. But then she takes off her shades, and it's just like regular eyes. You're like, I mean, they got like the red people, whatever.
And also because
thing.
you actually look at her for more than a second, so once you actually see her, it takes away some of the mystery. It's just some lady.
Because they do a really good job at hiding her up until that point. I mean, the most you get to see her is when Gretchen and the detective do go up to the love nest or whatever, and you start seeing more of her. When the bird lady goes for the fucking Beatrice lady, it's cool because you see her creep around the corner, and you're like, oh, that's terrifying. And then they hard cut, and then she's like, bah! And I'm like, whoa, that was spooky. That was awesome. And then that's when you get to see the whole process of her doing her splooge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. And yeah, so the dude's all upset, and he wants to kill the bird lady and the bird children because he find out.
And also, Beatrice is dating one of the cops that works on the reservation, and he seems to know what's going on even then, because he's all panicking and trying to hide the fact that they're there. Which wouldn't make sense otherwise. Remember, he was trying to put away the champagne glasses 10 times in the loop, put away the quiche and everything, and close the curtains and the windows. Not that it seems to make any difference.
Yeah, he was kind of a perplexing character
And he looked
because
way too old for her, but whatever.
he didn't he was doing stuff to make it seem like he gave a fuck about her life or whatever, and not being impregnated, but then he just like, oh, it's whatever, I guess. Like,
No, remember his hands were shaking after, and Nancy was like, "No, it's her turn." He was like, "Eh." That's why the detective was able to.
oh, yeah. So
How did you not notice this? They zoomed in like 2 different times on his hand being all shaky.
I thought he had like fucking low blood sugar or something.
That's just because we watched Mall Cop recently.
Yes. So all this stuff happens, and then Dan Stevens tries to capture Gretchen and then have Bird Lady impregnate her, but then Detective Man gets a
Not
hold.
Bird Lady, Bird Daughter, the girl that ran away at the beginning. Because he's training her, because apparently she doesn't have any natural instincts or whatever, which doesn't make any sense.
That's what he was doing?
He said she had to be trained.
Oh. Yeah, and for some reason Dan Stevens likes to dress them up in a specific way too, with like a blonde wig and like I don't know why. Maybe
And
he's trying to
makeup.
yeah, maybe he's trying to do that so they blend in and they look like normal people
Yeah,
or
but they're
something.
hiding anyway, so what does it matter?
Yeah, they don't specify any of this. They don't specify like so it leaves you like, huh?
Especially because the girl at the beginning looked like she was normal, and then after she was all weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like her brain just.
So all this stuff happens, and then we get to the end of the movie where they're at the hospital, and you find the Gretchen's stepsister is in a hospital, and they're about to do a test on her, and the biological mother is all freaking out. Oh, well, is she okay? Well, because she's having more seizures and stuff. Because you find out that the stepsister is actually a bird lady too, and you're like,
But she doesn't know, obviously, because it's not like she was aware when she was conceived.
but they kind of let you know from the get go because you realize she can't talk and she can only talk through like text to speech shit. So it's kind of like if you rewatch on, again, you're like, oh, I see what they did there. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, so the mother's all freaking out, and they're like, "Here, take these stuffs because we're the peoples that you can trust." And then they like knock her out or whatever, and they make her all like stupid. And then the mom and the dad are gone from the movie. The dad takes the mom home, and then boom, useless characters gone.
They were kind of minor anyways the whole time. They were
Extremely
just there
minor.
in the background like little annoying flies.
Yeah, they had no depth to them,
No.
which is fine because there's already a lot of characters in this movie. Yeah, so Gretchen goes to the hospital to save the stepsister because uh when she goes to the house and the Dan Stevens is playing the flute, she has the stuff of her belongings from her mom that's there, and she has like a tape recorder that was recording all her like messages and stuff.
It was their phone, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like her phone or something.
Yeah, their home phone, because the voicemail, her mom recorded it, and so she always calls her home phone.
Mm-hmm. So she was listening back through all the conversations, and then she realized that her stepsister called and was like left a super sweet and wholesome message saying, "If you're listening to this, can you please come and comfort Gretchen and be there for her because she's always calling you, and I know she misses you." And it was so sweet. I was like,
it was with her little recorder thingy, because I thought that she was actually hiding the fact that she could talk.
No, I was like, no, that's her text to speech thing, and it was super wholesome, because. Yes, this is the whole motivation behind Gretchen deciding to go save her stepsister. Because for a moment I forgot that happened. So I'm like, why does she even give a fuck about her all of a sudden? This makes no damn sense. And I remember that happens. And then so she goes to the hospital, and then the detective dude goes with her because he wants to end it all. He wants to kill the bird lady, and he wants to kill the stepsister. And
did we mention that he came in and saved her when Dan Stevens was trying to do the whole bird?
Yeah, he shoots Dan
thing?
Stevens
In the neck, it looks like.
No, he shot him like in the heart.
Oh, well, somewhere where he
in
wouldn't be getting up from quickly.
He shot him in the chest, and I assume it grazed his heart or something.
Yeah, somewhere in this area.
Yeah, so you're led to believe that Dan Stevens is dead, but no, he comes to the hospital and kills the people doing the experiment on the step sister, and then she was all like, "How is he alive? How?"
It was because if you shoot somebody that's a threat and you leave them there without checking if they're dead, you're really stupid, because if they're alive, you gotta time them out, but if they're dead, then at least you know. But if you just sort of shoot them and then walk away, it's like a classic horror movie where they hit them and then they keep running instead of making sure they hit them again so they're actually dead.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only.
That was also confusing because he kills Dan Stevens and then he kills the bird lady in training, but it was a super quick flash when he shoots her, and it looked like he shot her in the leg. So I was like, what the fuck was the point of that? But maybe he shot her in like the chest or the head or something. But I was like, that's just confusing, like confusing editing, or maybe it was intentional.
I think you were just confused. Because we were seeing it from the main girl's angle when she was still half knocked out. So we saw it from the side. She was cowered in a corner, so it's easy to shoot through the legs, or like she was like this or something.
I don't know. I saw the blood splat appear on her leg, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Anyways, yeah, so everything culminates at this hospital. The mom and dad are out of the picture. Gretchen is there. Detective dude is there. Dan Stevens is there. And stepsister is there. So then it becomes a battle of the wits. Oh, because the bird lady is there too.
Battle of the half-wits.
Bird lady is there too, and she's doing her bird lady things. She chases Gretchen into.
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse me, could you bring my laundry down when you have a chance?
Yep, I'll be down in a few minutes.
Thank you.
So, yes, bird lady chases Gretchen into the thing because. Wait, no. Gretchen and Detective Man are looking through this two-way mirror at the daughter, at the stepsister.
Glass. Two-way glass.
Yes, the two-way glass, and Detective Dude's like, we gotta kill her, and she's like, no. So then she starts stabbing him and stuff, and she was confused because Dan Stevens is standing over her, and he thought
had a gun. He's like,
he thought Dan Stevens was there to kill the stepsister, but I was like, maybe, but then I was like...
That's what it looked like. He killed everybody around her. He closed the window, he left her asleep, and he had a gun that looked like he was about to point it at her. And then he just disappeared.
Yeah, at that point I was confused
That's
too.
why she was freaking out and trying to get at her sister.
I was doubly confused because at first I was like, oh, he's doing this because he wants to, like, save her life. But then he goes in there and he's just, like, sitting there. I'm just like, is he gonna kill her? And then she's like, why is he trying to kill her? And I was like... I don't know.
And he had the whole thing earlier where he was talking about how they're breeding the stronger. Apparently each generation is stronger than the last, which is... They really needed help at the beginning in that case. But she was there, and the reason the mom was trying to kill her is because they were sharing resources or something stupid like that. Now she's been there for a week or something, and she keeps trying to run away, and the mom stops her. But maybe he thinks that she's weak because she had to share resources for those, a week or whatever, that the super ultra rich parents couldn't afford to take care of both of them or something. I don't know. That's my best guess, because it did look like he was trying to kill her, and he did aim at her after, remember?
Yeah, but then he just walked away. So that's why I was triply confused. I was thrown through a loop 3 different times. I was like, huh? Huh? Yeah, it was too much. And then, yeah, so Gretchen's like, no, and he stabs the detective dude. And then Bird Lady comes into the scene, and then she's like, ah! And then we have like a whole library scene, or whatever it is,
Medical records, I don't know.
some sort of medical records, and then, yeah, the Bird Lady is chasing Gretchen through like these shelves of like medical records, and then the detective dude comes in and knocks everything over. So then they're stuck in there, and then detective dude and Dan Stevens find each other, and they find the stepsister, and then they have like a shootout, and then the stepsister's locked in like a room, and then Dan Stevens and the detective dude are behind a pillar. So we have these 2 different scenes, and the Bird Lady gets out of the shelves and then comes and tries to impregnate Gretchen, but then she stabs Bird Lady in the throat.
Impregnate her or kill her?
No, she's trying to impregnate her. She doesn't know how to kill. We've never seen her do any such thing.
Wasn't she trying to kill her at the beginning when the bike scene?
No, she's trying to rip her off her bike to impregnate her.
I thought that she was trying to kill her because he told her that they were sharing resources and that was bad.
No, because Gretchen is not a bird lady. So why would they be sharing resources?
Because they're both kids in the same household. Yeah, it was stupid. I thought she was trying to kill her because she was trying to stop her from
I thought she was trying to impregnate her because that's like she's been trying to do that to every other lady in the movie.
Apparently.
Except the lesbian lady. She literally just like fucking tosses her.
And didn't she sleep one night in there with nothing happening? The first night? Oh, maybe it's because she was busy chasing Gretchen. That's why. Maybe she's only active at the hours of 11 and 12 at night.
Anyways, Bird Lady's a fucking idiot. She gets got so quick. And then she's like, oh. Well, she doesn't do all that, but she's like squirting blood and stuff, and it's the goriest part of the movie. And then Gretchen goes, and then...
Oh, and we find out that the bird people go bald-ish. They have little tufts of hair, but they wear wigs. And makeup. I don't know why.
I don't know why
they're trying to seduce people.
Like I said, I think it's a part of like the Jeepers Creepers thing where they just try to blend in and look human or whatever.
Yeah, but they already creep around like weirdos. It's like anybody's seeing them normally.
I don't know.
Maybe didn't.
Thinking more about it just leaves me more bewildered. So Gretchen goes and finds her stepsister, and she's like, "I'm gonna save you." She does her sign language stuff. She's like, too legit to quit. Yeah, she does that stuff, and then yeah, she like wheels her stepsister out in front of the both, and they're all like, "We gotta kill her," and then he's all like, "No, we gotta kill her," and they're all like. And then she doesn't give a fuck about all that, and then they're all sitting there, and they're all pointing the gun at each other, and then they die. They kill each other. No, they were...
Well, you have to explain who the they is. Okay. You've been saying they for a lot of different people, and there's a large group of people in a room now, as far as they know.
So, they were smitten. They were smitten by God. God seen that they were doing stupid shit, and he just threw thunderbolts at them all. And then the movie ends. Okay, no.
That would be a good ending, actually. Nobody would expect it.
No. Dan Stevens and the detective dude are pointing the guns at each other, and they're like, and they shoot each other at the same time. And then...
No, you ignored a bunch of stuff. So she goes to save her stepsister, and she's able to run past the dudes, because they're idiots, of course, like most dudes. Anyways, relax. So she talks to her sister, and she's like, well, Mom heard your message, and she called me. Thank you. I'm sorry for being a jerk. So she devises a plan with her sister where they are hugging each other, because that way they're human shields for each other, because both dudes are trying to kill one and save the other one. So that's how they're able to sneak out, and also because they're about to be shot, and the stepsister covers her ears and does her little bird thing, even though she doesn't look like a bird lady yet. Exactly.
And that connects thematically too, because after the movie ended, we were talking about like the themes of the movie, and I was like, I thought it was gonna have more familial themes, and then she says something that like was along the lines of like acceptance of like
yourself.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that is like the main theme is like acceptance, because she learned how to accept her stepsister, and that ultimately saved them in the end when they embraced. And then Dan Stevens and the other dude are separated
And they're not accepting anything. They're just like, I will do my own thing.
And then they end up dying because of that.
Same with the bird lady. She wasn't really with the program, but she died.
Well, Bird Lady was literally just an animal. Like, she didn't have any concept
Stupid
of morality.
animal.
Yeah.
I swear chickens are smarter than her.
Yeah, so Bird Lady got sent to the bird heavens, and Dan Stevens and the detective dude got sent to the dumb heavens, and everyone else survives. And then you said the main lady is from Euphoria, and she's like trans or something?
I don't remember if she's trans or intersex or something, but I do know that she is. It kind of goes with the theme of the bird lady who also acts sort of as a male in the reproductive process, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's because the reproductive process is very male-oriented, where you're...
Except they're female. It's just something that's typically associated with the male.
Which was pretty interesting to think about.
I don't know if they chose it on purpose or if it was just a random coincidence, which would be very interesting, but that was cool.
Yes, on first watch, this movie is phenomenal. I'm sorry about my leg. That's disgusting. Don't look at that.
I told you should get a bit more sun.
This movie was phenomenal on first watch, but when you think about like the logistics of everything and like, you know, some of the character motivations, you're kind of just like, But it's far better than Long Legs for sure. I enjoyed this way more than Long Legs, and also there's not a lot of score. There's not really a score in this movie.
There's some, and I thought the music that the glasses girlfriend lady was playing in the car was cool, and there was some background noise music. I don't know.
Yeah,
and the music she listens to is pretty good. So
yeah, it was like, yeah.
It was good. It was not the whole time, but it seemed like it was.
It was right where it needed it. Yeah, it was.
Which also made it better when you heard it.
Yeah, it was not noticeable, and it heightened the scenes that it was in, which was fantastic. And the dude who wrote and directed this, the cinematography was amazing. The lighting, the editing, the acting, everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everything was really well done. And they left it open for a sequel, too, because the stepsister's ear was, like, wiggling. Because they don't specify, like, how many bird people are out there.
What happens in the ending, apart from the stepsister's ear wiggling?
Oh, the lesbian sex orgy? Okay, well, the ear wiggles, and then...
No, so they get out of the hospital in the morning, and they're fine, and the girl that she was flirting with, that she tried to run away with, the side character that's there for a minute at the beginning is there also leaving the hospital. I think she checked herself out because nobody else is around. And the three of them leave together.
Which I guess also ties into like the theme of acceptance.
As
because,
I said earlier.
Because they don't specify like... They don't show if Gretchen struggles with her sexuality. She seems to embrace it, but it also could be like a thing of like...
Yeah, it only happened not around her family.
Right, so it could be implied that her family might not be accepting of it, so when she first tries to leave and hasn't learned the lesson of acceptance, she's punished for it. But when she learns the lesson of acceptance, she's able to leave freely with the loving embrace of her stepsister and the new girlfriend that she found.
Who also seems to accept them just fine. Like they're covered in blood. They come out of a hospital, and she's like, "Okay, let's go."
Even though
this place is weird.
They smoke those gross ass cancer sticks.
Any kind of smoking is bad for your lungs.
All in all, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, I actually was not waiting for the time to pass.
And that's saying something, because the amount of movies I show her where she's just like... Remember when I tried to show you Seventh Seal and you're just like...
What was Seventh Seal?
It's that Ingmar Bergman film with the medieval knight that's...
The dude in the undersized leggings?
Yes, and he's learning about the meaning of life, and he's questioning things, and life and death, and all these different Ingmar Bergman themes, and you're just like...
Oh, and there was that random couple that weren't sure what was going on.
But they're supposed to symbolize the joys of life.
Yeah, I'm sure life is great if your wife is about 20 years younger than you.
Yeah, so she's recommending this movie. You should go check it out. Cause...
I wouldn't say I recommend it. I would say that if you are in the mood for anything like that, it's definitely one that you should watch. But if you're not in the mood, then obviously don't go out of your way to watch it. It's not to that point where I'm like, whoa, everybody has to see it.
No, everyone has to go see it because we have to support this director.
What about supporting your own lifestyle by making sure that we save money and only spend on things we want to spend it on?
It's not that expensive to go to the movies. I mean, it's more expensive than it used to be, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it's more expensive here than where you are, as you noticed.
But it was worth it because we got to see, one, a good movie, and two, we supported somebody who clearly needs to make more. Like I said, it's left open for a sequel too, so they could possibly expand upon the lore. Because, like I said, there's not a specified amount of bird people, and they don't specify how many conservation reservation things there are either. So
Wash the hands. I gave a thingy. Maybe you'll accidentally pause it.
nope.
I don't know. I just had a little thingy. Anyways, and also it'd be really cool if in the second one, if they do make a sequel, if it's her figuring out what's going on. She grows up without the mom there to make her be full bird lady.
Yeah, if they do make a sequel, they should, instead of it being called Cuckoo, they should call it Cuckooed.
Cuckoo, Cuckoo.
One flew over the cuckoo. I did find
the
it funny.
cuckoo flew out of its nest.
There's a couple of jump scares. The one that got me is when the bird lady's creeping down on the hall and then she's like, ah! But you got scared by the damn cuckoo clock.
It was loud and popped out. I was not expecting a cuckoo clock to pop out of nowhere. That's
It was
the
all,
thing. In movies
cuckoo.
where you're not there and you don't see the set and it's some random thing that you didn't see before, all of a sudden it's like, blah. They set it up like that on purpose. They don't know what to expect.
You got scared by that, but not the lady going, bah!
I was entertained by her jaw the whole time. It was just like, ah.
Yeah, she had like grudge jaw, where it was all like,
Yeah.
it was good.
It was definitely cool when she was creepy and behind, but I thought that the noise was a bit overdone. Especially because movie theaters are loud. Her screaming was annoying. Also, why did nobody ever just try and just like stop her from screaming? Somehow. Like, I don't know, muffle her.
Yeah,
anything.
why was everyone scared of her? Like, no one
She does nothing except scream annoyingly.
Yeah, no one ever tried to, like, combat her, like, ever. They always just ran away.
Nope.
Interesting.
I mean, she had kind of weird looking teeth, but definitely not extra dangerous teeth.
It would have been cooler, like I said earlier, like, in the car, where if they would have... Because the bird people don't really have anything interesting. They're just, like, bird people. Like, it would have been cool if there was, like, an actual conversation to be had about, are they worth having around, or...
Which Dan Stevens should have done when he was like, blah, 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 I'm training this one because whatever.
Yeah, it's just the fact that they were going extinct, which they probably should have been going extinct, but if they had, like, some sort of,
They
like...
should have stamped out a long time ago.
If they would have had, like, some sort of cool property where, like, they can, you know, excrete a liquid that, like, grows back, like, dead things or something, that would have been cool. Or, I don't know, something, a little more to that. That would have been cool.
Or even if they just, in some, you know, something was explained about their existence over time. Because there's no way that something like that exists for so long. It is that dependent on humans to survive, and still you don't hear anything about it. Except for the random cops that work there. They're like, oh, hush, hush. Nothing happened. Also, I would be a little concerned if I worked there. I don't care if even if I was not a woman, I would be concerned. That's just some weird stuff to be going on and to not care about.
They probably get paid well.
I mean, just because you get paid well doesn't mean you have to do everything they tell you.
Anyways, yes, go watch this movie. Support your underrated, underappreciated, blossoming film director people that also wrote the movies.
Is this person new?
I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, smoochy woochy.